Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Den. Today, we're going to be doing the Acolyte 5 roundtable, giving our thoughts and opinions on what we thought. First off, if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're on the road to 1K. We're getting closer and closer every day, and I'm trying to hit that before Christmas time. So anything greatly appreciated. And also, we have a special announcement today. It is somebody's birthday.
Woo!
Who's the birthday boy?
But you have to guess which one. Which one of these two guys' birthday it is?
Tune in next week.
Do we have to sing it?
Yes, I mean, yeah.
we don't have to sing it.
That was the Muppets thing. Those two guys from Muppets.
I feel like we never do the round tables on somebody's birthday, so I feel like it's special. I feel like it's special
our bombastic
to be.
energy. Yes, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Happy birthday.
I'm hoping it's a good one, man. I'm glad that you get to sit down and talk some Star Wars with us on your birthday too. It's fun.
I enjoy talking Star Wars after destroying an entire species of fish for sushi. So Star Wars are way, man.
Yeah. Win-win.
Entire species.
We did. We killed a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. We killed a lot of things.
Order 66.
We ordered 66. We unlimited powered some noodles as well. That was a fun minute.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, let's get into the Acolyte. What did you guys think? This one has a lot of buzz around it. I feel like too. I mean, I feel like after every episode, like there's buzz around the Acolyte, whether it's like love or hate. There's always something going on with it. But we'll kind of just go down the line. JT, you're first, man. What's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, this is probably my favorite of the series so far of what's been shown. I had my gripes that we can get into,
sure.
But I enjoyed it for the most part. I really did.
Right on, man. Charlie, Peak, what about you guys?
Loved it.
Nice.
I loved every bit of it. Jen, I'll send this to you. You did good. You killed it. It was amazing seeing you on there.
And for those who don't know, that's one of his friends who is the stunt double for Chimere.
Yep.
So, for a little pretext. The Stanley's popping in. What's going on, man?
Love that guy.
It is foretold you would be here.
It was foretold.
Charlie,
did you have anything else to add before I move to Percy? Or is that
I loved it. Loved the combat. Loved the story. Can't wait till next episode.
Hell yeah, man. Percy, what about you, man?
I rate this episode the highest of all the previous episodes. Definitely the one that they wanted us to see, and I liked it a lot.
Nice.
That's about all I got to say.
That's all I got to say about that. Nick, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I feel like I've never been this far on the edge of my seat for a Star Wars show, or at least it's been a very long time since I have. So it was really fun.
Nice, man. Nice.
All right, now we need to get someone else in here that can hate it. So because we're all loving it, so we need to
I'll get to that later.
Come on.
Well, yeah, I was like, we'll get to. I'll share mine because I didn't say it. I did really enjoy the episode, but we'll get into it a little. There are some things that I loved the combat. I thought the combat was really well done. I think that's probably the thing they're doing best in the show is the combat. But there were some things that, for me personally, took me out of some of those combat parts because of the way that they chose to cut the. And I guess we can get into that. That'll be like the first topic. But because of the way they chose to kind of edit this episode, I felt like I couldn't live in the moment. And that'll bleed in again to the first question is like, what did you guys think of like how they edited this together? Because I feel like we got snippets of combat and then it would like cut to like Osha or May like looking into the camera for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And it's just like, for me, it kind of took me out of some of those really badass scenes of Chimere just absolutely going apeshit bananas on some of these Jedi. I don't think we needed some of the like her like them running away to the ship. Like we got like 3 or 4 of those transitions where she's running with Yord. I'm like, you could have given us one, dude, and then like let us live in the moment. Because like you got Jackie fighting and you got Soul fighting and even some of the Jedi, and I feel like that it's over so quickly, and I felt like the scenes transitioned. It was just a little weird. Maybe that's just me, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on the we'll get into the fight, but just how they're editing and putting it together.
You just stole all the words from my mouth. Everything. You're like, but then we got this part. I'm like, no, don't say it. Okay. But, no, that my gripes with the episode were what you just listed when it comes to the editing, and like you said, we would be in this awesome like double, shish kebab, double decapitation, and like a clean sweep. And then it cuts to Yord and Osha running through the woods. I'm like, no. Go back to that. I want to see that. Keep the momentum going. They did that like 2 or 3 times, and it was kind of annoying at this point. I wanted to keep going back into it. And the argument is made against, well, they already do that in Star Wars. When they have fights, they cut to different scenes. Okay, but like in the prequels, when you use those as a reference, the Phantom Menace has like 3 different fights. One in space, one with the Gungans, and the Duel of the Fates, obviously. So when it's cutting to a different fight. Revenge of the Sith, when you're cutting from Mustafar, you're cutting to Palpatine and Yoda, right? It's keeping the momentum and the pacing.
Or even Attack of the Clones too, with like the fight at the end with Yoda, and like he's like on the battlefield and he's like, prepare me a ship. I need to go save Anakin and Obi-Wan,
Yeah, it's just I agree right there with you. I didn't appreciate them interrupting the cool stuff, especially since the last episode hyped this moment up so much. We ended on that cliffhanger. I was expecting that seamless transition, but then we got the Moon Knight sequence where we woke up and then like there's already a dead Jedi. No, dude. No, I want to see that. I want to see each of them. The choreography is the strong suit of this episode. It's what I appreciated the most. I think that's why this episode is my favorite of the series so far. Was because how good that was. But I wanted to see every aspect of it. It's like Revenge of the Sith. Like you see the Mustafar fight. No, you want to see every aspect of it. There's those cut scenes where they do like the table flips and everything. Yeah, that's my take on it. Minor gripes, but big in the standpoint when it comes to the editing. So,
anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
I don't. In terms of the editing, I feel like I never noticed anything, so I don't have anything pros or cons to it. Like, I guess I don't have any pros to back up why I did like the editing, because it's just something I didn't notice about it. So it's interesting that you guys brought that up.
Yeah, I just noticed that it just cut because like it would give us like 2 seconds, and then but it wouldn't cut to like another fight or like because I kind of liked that Chimere was bouncing between everybody and that dude, I mean they didn't show force speed, but I don't know how big that area was, but he's got to be traversing something very quickly to like fight Soul and then initially go back to a fight like May and then Jackie and then go back to Soul and then go to, like he's bouncing between everybody, which I thought was super cool and very like, almost like a Plagueis or like Palpatine-esque where they're just like when they're on it, they're zooming back and forth. They're like at the speed of light, which I enjoyed. I don't know. I just felt like maybe not all of them, because I felt like some of them were valid, but they just like really focused on May and Osha in times that I felt like you didn't really need that. But I don't know. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Like for instance, like you said, you didn't even notice it. You were just kind of immersed in it.
Any of it, yeah.
So
I just think Yord shouldn't have left the fight.
Yeah,
well, maybe he should have, because he came back.
He left was to come back and save those 2 that end up dying anyway.
He hardly fought at all. He did like a quick move and then.
Well, he also got slashed in his leg, I think, or something like that at the very beginning. I think he got his leg tattered or something.
Yes,
like
that.
He
defends the first 2 Jedi who lose their swords to the Cortosis. They're like, "Oh my god!" And then he jumps in and he's like, "Bam! No, you can't kill my boys." So he does that twice, basically. He's pretty cool. I like Yord.
Yeah.
Just wish we had more of them. I guess that's what I wanted to.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to this later on because I want to bring up one thing that he said towards the end of the fight, right before he got his Mortal Kombat neck snapped. But yeah, I think there's probably going to be more of him in like flashbacks, I would say, because there's some things that alluded to that. But Charlie, what about you, man? Did that bother you at all with the transitions or anything like that? You were just loving the whole thing. You were just in it.
I'm soaked in the story. I mean, I think some of that stuff, everybody interprets art differently, man.
For sure.
Just sometimes you need little stuff like that of just, I know what's going on. So I enjoyed in Star Wars, when in doubt, drop kick. It's like it rhymes. Whenever Kathleen Keene's Jackie Carey just comes out of nowhere, there's a WWF reference or WWF, whatever your preference, just drop kick out of nowhere. I loved that so much.
She must have elbowed him hard, dude, because she elbows him and it breaks his mask.
I know that actress is very small but athletic, and I'll go watch Logan. For sure. So I loved cutting over to that. I didn't mind cutting over to. I actually like that homage to the original stuff with like the wipes and stuff like that. Whenever Saul's getting ready to do that, getting ready to do that, and cut through that, and it cuts like that way into that, and then that's much as like I didn't even notice it because it didn't bother me. Otherwise, I would remember it. It cuts to her, and it cuts to when they go back for the moths and stuff like that. I'm just calling moths. I don't know the actual name.
Yeah, those moths. We'll get to that too. We'll get to that too.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even score my mind. But then
it's like Osha and Yord are going back to the ship, but Yord.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But... No. I couldn't think of the name of them because I was like, oh God, wait. So thank you for that, actually. So no, it didn't bother me at all because I was like, okay, that's where that's going to go. That's where it's going to go. So whenever they get back to the fight stuff, like, oh man, yeah, and everything like that, or I would do like a Al Pacino thing. I'm not going to kill the ears. So I'm just saying I liked it, enjoyed it, did not bother me, and I focused on the good things, and I was so happy. It did.
I know you're on cloud 9 after that watch party. I could tell.
Happy.
I could tell you were hyped up. You're all jacked up on Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper, I should say.
Dr. Pepper, right.
But now getting kind of into like that, I wanted to talk about the transitions because I was, I've heard some people talk about them, some people not talk about them. I think it's kind of either like you noticed it or you were just so enthralled in the fight that it was just like, hey, secondhand, it doesn't matter. So I always love hearing your guys' opinions on stuff. But let's get kind of into the fight and get down to the nitty gritties. Dude, Cortosis in live action for like, from what I'm thinking, the first time. Like, I know it's in comics and books and stuff like that, but for live action, I don't think we've seen it, right?
No, it's not in live action. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen it.
So I feel like that was kind of a nod to more like sweaties because like casual people are going to be like, what the heck is going on? I feel like that was kind
Quinlan Voss had it in books. Like he had gauntlets, but that's the only one I can think of right now.
So
I don't know if it was even canon.
So it's a commodity because I'm not really versed into the High Republic era, but I do know about the Old Republic era and that it was still kind of rare then, but towards the prequel era, there was like no Cortosis. Was
it all used up or something? Like what was going on with that?
Used up and or lost. Because when you have people like the Trade Federation who mine for these materials and they have different investors, so different like assets go to different places, a lot of stuff gets misplaced. There was a schematic for a B3 super battle droid, which was like this 12-foot tall B2 shaped unit.
Yeah, it's like they're not terrifying enough. They got to add like some more height and weapons. And
you never seen anything like this. Its armor was made of Cortosis. It had these like rib-mounted blasters, shoulder-mounted blasters, quad things on both
that seems
arms.
like something you would fight in the Force Unleashed.
Overkill.
Like that seems like a Force Unleashed fighting character or something.
It's overkill. Yeah, I mean, so you have something like that which didn't come into fruition for a reason, and you can make the argument, well, if Cortosis exists, why don't you just build Grievous out of it? He would have completely ruined everything. He definitely would have, but you couldn't get a hold of it. I mean,
even their counterpart Frick, the Frick alloy, they use that for the Magna Guard staffs, and that was super expensive. Like it was a commodity, it was a rare thing. To see a whole helmet made of it and those gauntlets, that was pretty cool. Especially for the sweaties. Not only that being a first time appearance, but first time we see a Keldor species with a lightsaber in action. Although be
a lot of good it did them.
a short amount of action, but still cool to see. Even if they get stabbed, through the back and through the chest. That's part of like one of the gripes that we were just talking about with the editing. Like I wanted to see more of certain characters fight.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit more out of Yord, especially Kalnaka, but that's a different can of worms. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Mind me.
So, really fast, just fast little note. One, it made me so happy when we were doing the watch party of JT calling that out of the cortosis, because I was like, oh, yes, it is. Oh my God. And everything. And another reason made me, I'm very easy to please sometimes. Shut up. Is that, at this time period, for those that know, the Plagueis book, remember how that book opens up, even though some of us in here like listen to that. Actually, Darth Tenebris and Darth Plagueis were actually getting the very last of the cortosis in the mining before the mining collapsed.
That's right. You're right. Yeah.
So the fact that was put in here, I was like, oh my God, that's right. So I know it's 100 years, something like it was. I don't know. That gave me so much joy. So seeing that, I was like, yes. Sorry.
I only knew watching it when the lightsabers got deactivated. Not even that they just bounced off, but seeing them physically retract, and then you see the two Jedi are like it's sparking. I'm like, dude, that's cortosis. No way, it's not. There's literally no way it's not. Right. So it was cool. It was cool to see that.
Anybody else got anything on cortosis? Hanging out, chicken? No.
I like it.
I will say,
shiny.
I like it a lot.
I also, last thing on it being rare, I heard YouTuber stuff. This wasn't something I read, but I heard that there was only 2 deposits of cortosis out there to begin with, so it was already rare, let alone the mines being destroyed and everything. Yeah.
Dang,
so no one can get it.
That's wild. That's wild. Well, it makes me wonder how he got it, and that's what I think they meant by because I saw a lot of people being like, he just fought like a normal person. Like, why are they saying like he can't? Like, they're like, oh, like he's like not following like the rules of like conduct. I'm like, dude, he's not following the rules of conduct because he's getting in your head and he's using cortosis. Like, that's not standard rules of Jedi combat, especially if you haven't seen a Sith and hundreds of thousands of years, and then you see one and it's deactivating your lightsabers and like playing mind tricks on you and stuff like that. Like, that's not standard rules of engagement. So that's what Yord meant when he said that. They're
he calls himself a Sith, but even if he wasn't a Sith, when do you see Sith play fair? You see Maul do he uses the hilt to stun Qui-Gon. I mean,
I think him reciting the Sith code in one of the earlier episodes kind of cements it. But he did tell Soul, he was like, you would call me a Sith, not calling himself a Sith. He actually said, you would call me a Sith.
Well, I've heard some people argue that like he might be like the first like Knight of Ren or something like that. I haven't read that like book series or whatever, but they were saying that he might be like something like a catalyst to starting that or something like that. Because I think the Knights.
Oh, Kylo Ren.
Yeah, because I think like
not
the
only the helmet.
No, go ahead.
Not only the helmet, but it looks just like Kylo Ren's like helmet with the flare in the back. Yeah. But my buddy Ashton Sherritt, who's a musical guy, he actually did a breakdown on this. You hear the same audio cue when Kamir's on screen as you do with Kylo Ren. It's like the exact same note and everything.
Well, speaking of audio cues, dude, like Nick's like, dang it! He's like, I gotta cross another one off the list.
It's one broken. Thank you.
But I mean, maybe I just got Force Unleashed on the mind, but like I really feel like that, like the very first like intro song, like the trumpets like really sound like it's like da 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 da, like it kind of has that same like vibe to like the Force Unleashed, which I was like, that's kind of cool. I don't think that's what the intention was, but it kind of felt like that a little bit.
It's
but
the
no,
brass instruments, yeah.
Yeah. But going back to like the Knights of Ren thing, I think like whatever dude that Kylo ends up killing, like he's like the main leader or whatever, and I think Kylo ends up like killing him. He kind of, his helmet and his vibe kind of matches Kamir a little bit, I feel like, because he has the same style helmet where it's just like kind of like he doesn't have a smile on it, but he just has like one like that's like straight down and very Kylo Ren-esque too. So maybe when he said he was Sith, you know what it made me think of? And I know this is the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, but when Ventress is like, I am Sith, and Dooku's like, you don't even know what that means. Yeah, he's like, yeah.
With the trappings of a Sith, you fight like a Sith. This can be imitated, however.
Yeah, so it's like maybe he is like an imitation or something like that of you know, because I could totally see like us being like, oh, that's the Sith, and then at the very end, like he gets cut down or something like that by some like mysterious person in the shadows, whoever that may be. And it was like, you're a joke, you know, you're an imitation, you're not the real thing or something like that, you know. I could feel.
In an interview, Leslie Headland has said that we're going to be seeing 2 Sith in this show. So
okay.
I don't know.
No dark side eyes, so I stay away from the stuff as well.
I don't know about this. Do you guys remember that in the Clone Wars?
Cortosis I know he's referred to. Crap. The new Thrawn things. There may have been some left over, but again, remember, this is going off piggyback during the Clone Wars timeline of, remember who's in charge of it? Sidious. So, of course, he would have, Thrawn and him go have some bonding time and stuff and set up the whole thing of that. So he probably stole some stuff from his master, who was better than him. Just saying. But.
So we, I guess we finally know, unless we still haven't seen it, what the Saber department, where we're doing, Leslie Headland was talking about with the Saber department. And they were like, oh, I don't know if it can be done. I imagine that's what it is, because they said it wasn't the light whip. I wonder if it was like the unscrew saber. But I don't know why that would be hard. Because you would just show unscrewing it, cut somewhere else, and then he has 2 sabers. Like, I don't know why that would be hard.
Are you talking about the Tonto inside of the?
Yeah, because she was saying in an interview that like, oh, there was a saber that wasn't the light whip, that like they didn't know. She took it to the prop department and they didn't know if they could get it done. I'm guessing that this is the one, unless we see another saber, but I'm guessing this would be the one she's referring to. The droid.
If this is it, the only thing I can think of is that like when sure in like editing it could be like a blade, but I wonder if like on set they actually had like a blade inside of the blade, so when he takes it out there's actually like a physical blade coming out of it maybe. And that's what they maybe had trouble doing, like having a blade stored inside of another blade. That's what I can think of if that is the lightsaber, but I feel like it's not it. I feel like there's another one. So
if there's 2 Sith, maybe the other Sith has something that we haven't seen, because he had something. Like we haven't seen Cortosis in live action, and we haven't seen like the, so maybe that other Sith has something along the lines of that or something.
The umbrella.
And that's when Vinastra's gonna pull out the light.
Ronan.
I'm honestly okay with the umbrella saber. I think it might look goofy in live action, but like, dude, that thing was sick in Visions. So I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. I want
cool, man.
Side note, I want the Sebulba, the Doug character that's in like the repurposed like Imperial probe, who has like the katanas. I want that character in Star Wars Hunters. I feel like that would be a sick character to have in Star Wars Hunters. Cool. Like a Doug and like an Imperial droid. Complete side note, but let's see what the Stanley's saying. Kamir using the secret second blade reminded me of how Exar Kun killed his master.
Yeah.
Good man, Stanley.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's very pseudo Japanese as well, because they had some katanas back in World War II that had the Tonto blade inside of the katana as like a hidden like scapegoat thing, or some sort of like honor rules. Like if you know you're going to get captured, you take that little blade out, and then you don't want to get captured. You use that. But even his armor as well is very Japanese vibe, and I think I know there's some people that don't like the design of the zipper mouth. I actually like the look of it. And I think that adds to the intimidation as well of it just being a smile, but it's always a smile, so you don't know the next move. It's like the unpredictableness makes you scared.
General Kenobi.
What's going on, Phil?
Hello there.
Yeah, man. I honestly, I kind of wish it was black, just because my favorite colors are red and black. So like when I found out it was copper, I was like, yeah. But like it still looks cool. It still looks cool. Like the Hasbro toy looks the Hasbro toy actually made it look to me a lot better because it was so dark, and that because it's supposed to be at night, right? You know, the only illumination's really the sabers for the most part.
Yeah.
So, you know. It definitely you get to see a lot more like the scarring and the damages and stuff like that in the toy version. But no,
I
mean
that should answer your question about Jackie though. Using the elbow to break it. Because you can see on the helmet it also is like welded. Too.
Yeah, true.
So
true.
I don't know how difficult it is to connect cortosis to forge a helmet out of it, but it can't be that strong if we're dealing with such a rare material like that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like Beskar, I guess, or something like that, where Beskar's like you're not getting through it. You know.
I think Thalen's just got rock solid elbows.
Yeah, she's got adamantium in her elbows.
Are even better.
Oh, I was going to say it. Good job.
But
no.
Yeah. Well, now that we're kind of talking about Jickie, dude, a lot of like young Anakin vibes, dude, with the double saber where she had hers and then she had Kalnaka's, like, and she was just like doing all the spins and like they definitely gave her the most parkour stuff. Like she's like jumping around the map and stuff like that. For her being a Padawan, I mean, I felt like she was doing a lot better than, I don't know if those were Jedi Knights that got like killed at the very beginning, the ones that got shish kebabbed and beheaded, and then the Keldor. We don't know what.
It's weird how they do it.
What?
Because like how they send all the Jedi out, like we don't know if they were all Knights, but Yord's Padawan wasn't there. But they it's always like Yord and Jecki are paired together, kind of, even though Soul is Jekkie's master. So it's kind of weird, like. It's almost
Yord's
like
it's
like there's an in-between level. You know what I mean?
They just didn't have the money for the Zygerian. I guarantee you that's why she's not there. they're like only makeup for one day. We can't redo the makeup again.
She's the Sith Lord.
That's Jar Jar, man. It's okay.
That's a running joke that the $180 million budget was spent on the real life Cortosis helmet and gauntlet.
Yeah,
Phil says, I have to say that I enjoyed the fight, but it didn't match the Duel of the Fates for me. I know they were trying to match that fight. Yeah, I mean, dude,
agreed.
It's hard to match perfection. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, I mean, just the prequels, just they nailed that fighting. And I think, you know, that is kudos to Nick Gillard, who is just a genius when it comes to that stuff. I really think, like, you know, he's gone on and talked about like how he was, you know, doing stuff with the circus, and then he like tried to get like all his stunt, like just having all of that knowledge, because it's like almost like a performance when they're doing all the prequel fighting and stuff like that. They don't need all those spins and all the fancy, but it looks cool, you know, it looks cool. And I think that this is the closest to like Nick Gillard style fighting that we've gotten from Disney, I would say. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
I would say either besides this or the Ahsoka versus Balin fight.
Oh, true.
Anything with I'll ditto that, but I'll also say anything with Hayden, because he automatically just does muscle memory.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden's
cheating.
No, I will not. Hayden Christensen, anything with Ewan, because they do a move and the thing that calls back to a certain. So, when it comes to stuff, especially, I don't know. Again, I stay away from like the internet just for Skynet purposes and another thing. But yeah, when it comes to like, I don't like to compare it at all. But just I know that was a thing. Eventually, I learned that, but I was like, I don't mind. But yeah, nothing compares to the prequel things. I love the things. We'll talk about this for hours. I'll shorten to say there are many good ones out there, many gems, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So just my 2 cents. Carry on.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I like hearing. I like, especially too, because you're I would say probably the most knowledgeable on this, because you do martial arts and study all. You know, you literally got the freaking the staff
study
from freaking
the blade.
Ray Park, man. Yeah, Ray Park to like.
Don't say Ray Park. It's too
yeah,
soon.
JT's like, I can't do Ray Park. But wasn't Jakey using her hilt from the saber to hit his helmet? I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I don't know. I mean,
I thought it was the elbow.
It looks like she elbowed him.
She was using the elbow, and she was also because at the time, one of the cortosis thing knocked one of the blades out. So she was doing a combination of that, and also whenever Saul knocked down the high ground, and she charged down unknowingly. So don't leave the high ground. But
and I think they were talking about the first fight with Balin and Ahsoka. Not the
when
second
they're
one.
the map. The map.
Yeah. I think that's what y'all were talking about.
Awesome.
There's a lot of helmet combat though.
Dude, I know headbutting.
Cortosis styled, like using the actual armor to fight, which is really cool to see. Not only just the headbutting, but just like the simple like gauntlet like slash deactivation. Yord comes in and he picks up the helmet and uses it for like a parry, just like
that was a good
block.
move. That was a good move.
That was sick.
I think this episode altogether is one of those once in a while Disney Star Wars gems that the majority of people just like.
Yeah.
You know, I like Ahsoka episode 5 with like the Clone Wars flashback is just one of those gems. For example, there's a few gems within shows and movies, few moments even, or that have that vibe where it's just
it's
like
the sabers, man.
A camaraderie.
Sabers do that.
Yeah, a camaraderie of just a good feeling that everybody mutually agrees. Where there's like a very small minority of people that genuinely just dislike those moments.
Yeah. I mean, I think this episode for me would have been probably a 10 out of 10 if it was just it was edited just and I think that's like something for me personally. Like, I feel like the reason why I've been so mixed about this show is because the show has a lot of Star Wars elements. You can tell they're adding a lot of like Star Wars stuff in it. It's just how they're laying it out and presenting it to us. I'm not the craziest. I'm talking about the show as like a whole, not just this episode. Because I feel like the Star Wars elements are there. It's just how they're giving it to us is kind of different, I guess. But going to let's talk about Soul a little bit. Let's talk about Soul. That was my note here, dude. Definitely a little bit more dark side Soul. You can see like he's hiding something, and his dark side is kind of coming. Especially when they're like fighting hand to hand. Like he tags Chimere quite a bit in the hand to hand combat. Like really messes him up, rocks him.
My buddy, real fast. Then I'll shut up. I'm sorry. My buddy.
Charlie, you don't have to make it fast, man. Just say what you want, dude. It's all good.
No, I know. My buddy Tien said they studied. He personally studied wushu for 20 plus years, so they wanted to add that in there.
Oh, nice.
So when you see their foot movement going back and forth, if you go back and watch Donnie Yen and Yip Man, you will see that, and that was an homage to that what they're doing. So before anything else, I had to say that. So I'm glad you said that because, God, it was so good watching that man do that because they rehearsed that forever just to get that moment. Priceless.
Oh, you can tell. You can tell.
Yeah. Even though it was a piss poor introduction to be like, oh, who's the big bad guy? It's Chimere. You know, it was like ridiculously obvious. A lot of little factors pointing at that. Even though we had that like slide introduction to him, Chimere is now my new favorite character of the series. Just the way he was handled. Cool. Like you were talking about Soul, the Soul has him down. He's doing the Qui-Gon pose, you know, saber, and he's like breathing in the camera. He's like, strike me down, do it. You wouldn't. Come on, no balls, right? He's doing Chimire's like egging on to him. He wants him to do it, and then I think that's a really cool aspect of showing the seduction of the dark side, even during battle. Like your thoughts aren't even wholly gathered, and he's trying to get into his head and find any little way to just ruin this whole fight for him and get an advantage. And Chimere, like the way that was handled, I really appreciated. Yeah. Even though Chimere, we still don't even know. He's like, some may call me Sith, but then he says after that, but unfortunately, all of you saw my face, so I have to kill you. That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. Yeah. So I really appreciate the way that was handled.
To Phil's point, yeah, man, they're handling sabers how sabers should be handled. Like you're stabbed, you're done.
In this episode, yes.
Yeah, you're stabbed, you're done. Like it's that's it. You know, he even stabbed her 3 times. He knew the Disney lore, so he had to stab her 3 times.
That was brutal.
But the camera angle on that, dude, the camera angle, you didn't even see it.
You see her head go like that. Yeah.
You just see, and then she falls over, and then you see him holding like a tiny blade or something.
Yeah, it's like a knife.
That smile cool. Just in between the blades and that, no, and everything like that. And you're like,
I actually felt bad for Jackie. I really did, and I haven't felt that way.
Well, it's savage too, because he was like, "Was that its name?" He didn't even say like her.
Oh God,
was that its name? Like he was just like totally like disregarding her, like being like, "Oh, that's trash." And he's like, "Oh, you brought her here." He's like, "I had to kill her because you brought her. It's your fault," you know. Yeah. But definitely very like Obi-Wan vibes with Saul. Like, you know, when Obi-Wan's like he's like jumping and getting ready to like fight Maul. You know,
he's like pumping himself up on the other side of the gate.
It kind of gave me those style vibes in that sense, where like Soul is just like, I'm gonna break you. Like he's
a young Obi-Wan Qui-Gon combo.
Yeah,
Soul is. I like that.
Yeah, I love that unhinged moments, and specifically Jedi's. I know it's not the Jedi way, but we know how it goes. No, like you can tell of all the restraints and straight. Yeah, exactly. You know, the restraints are like Jedi when it comes to fighting certain stuff, whenever they give in to certain things, but you're not supposed to. But whenever they do, you know it's going to look good, and especially that actor's eyes, and you know he's hiding some stuff. I'm sure you'll get into that later, but just the ditto off of JT, and also what Conrad's like, you know, what type of person would hide their mask from their student? You know, something like you should talk. Like, what's that mean?
Kamir even said, he even said, well, I had a mask, and it pans over.
Yeah.
He was wearing a mask.
He was, God, his portrayal of just, ironic enough, it's like poetry, it rhymes. The mask falling off of the mask of the performance that was given, just to unleash what was in there, possibly, or what was there the entire, it's a meta thing, but just, my God, yeah, that guy, and also, my God, his workout. I've seen some stuff like that. Just
dude, the dude was shredded. You see his like forearms and stuff like that, and his biceps. Dude, the dude was working out for
his performance of how he would do stuff, whether it be, choke at someone and everything like that, and then just God, it was so good.
He's like, no,
but oh man, I know you had specifically something about that.
No, it'd be later on.
All right, but God, I loved it. So yeah, thank you, JT. That was
I wanted to add on to the dichotomy of the Jedi and the Sith too, and in that scene where Soul is like heavy breathing and he's like resisting, the hate, to give into that. I hope Sarah's watching this, because the only recent other moment that I felt where a Jedi was like struggling like that is in Jedi Survivor, actually, when Cal Kestis is choking the what's the Imperial's name?
Oh no!
And then Marin is like, no, stop that, dude! Don't do that.
I can't remember what it's like. He's like one of the director guys of like that facility that he's
got the white garb shirt with like the
he's like bald or something like that, isn't he? He's like bald. But he's got like a monk
haircut. Whatever. And then
the Imperial.
Yep.
You summoned her.
I know she'd appreciate that. But no, the only other moment that really kind of got my hands rubbing like that, like, ooh, we're seeing a Jedi kind of like slip a little bit, was Cal Kestis in that moment. So that was cool. That was pretty cool, seeing Soul struggle.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because there's obviously something they're not telling us, because like Soul is like, oh, there's something familiar about you, or like, oh, it's you, and then literally Yorda isn't even with them when like the witches are getting like massacred and all that stuff in the flashback, but Yord also knows Chimera because he goes, you. But maybe
he's
now that I'm thinking about
it, though.
But
that's what's his name.
As soon as I said that, I was like, you know what? He saw him at the apothecary, though. So maybe that's dang it!
Remember they had that stakeout where he was gonna stun him, and then Jackie's like, why doesn't Osha just go pretend to be May? And talk to him?
Okay, so at the end, that was super weird to me, because Osha's got the tattoo, like the lieutenant. Like,
oh, dude, that's gonna fall flat right away. Like, Soul is not gonna sit there for more than a day and be like, "Wait, what did you say?" or like anything. Like he'll be like, we
Yeah.
usually go out for food at this time. What are you doing?"
Which goes into one of my gripes because they couldn't Soul couldn't sense that May was filling in for OSHA. That's
Or the
kind of
burnt
weird.
hair.
That's kind of weird to me. Yeah, the burnt hair too. But you see the Clone Wars where the box arc where Obi-Wan takes the polyjuice neck thing and his face physically transforms. Metachlorian cells like form into Reiko's Hardine's face, and even then, Anakin can still sense that something's wrong about this person. That it might be Obi-Wan or something like that. So I don't know. I just didn't really buy that Soul was fooled without any physical
Well, he was
transformation.
super traumatized at the time, I think, because he didn't care about that. He was just like, okay, there's OSHA, let's go. Like, it's over. We're
Everybody's
leaving.
dead. Yeah.
He was traumatized because he saw a Sith Lord that was fighting and killing all these Jedi, and then all of a sudden these bugs lift him up away. He's like, I don't want to deal with any of those bugs, man. I'm running. Yeah.
May also has that big white tattoo on her forehead, so.
Oh yeah, what the heck?
If her hair
Just
just like
bangs
kind of goes
deciding
to one side, it's over.
Yes, Denvik. Denvik's is the dude's name.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course, Sarah would know.
Yeah, she's pulling out on all the knowledge. But yeah, I think that's really for me. I think the only things that I was like, like it was the transitions, some of the dialogue, like with OSHA and May at the end. I was just like, it didn't like to me how the scene was laid out. Kind of felt like it was supposed to be like how Anakin and Obi-Wan are like, you are my brother, Anakin. Like, I loved you. You know, like, I hate you. You know, like, I felt like that's what they were trying to kind of go for. And I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know if it was like the way the actors portrayed it or maybe it was the writing and the dialogue. I just wasn't like, I wasn't feeling what they like. I got what they were trying to get me to feel, but I wasn't feeling that. I don't know if you guys kind of felt the same way. Where she's like, "Pick me, don't pick the Jedi. You're misremembering. They brainwash you." And then she's like, "No, they brainwash you." You know, or you know, they back and forth.
I agree. When they had that hug too, when they're like their heads are on each other's shoulders and they're like crying. I'm like, I want to feel something about this, but I just don't relate to that kind of Stockholm syndrome vibe, I guess. I don't know, because like May's like, and like I give you, and then she's like, you give me, give me. So it's like
me.
Yeah, me.
Me,
it's
you,
like,
me, you, me.
How can I root for OSHA for Destiny's always to fall back into May's hands? I don't know. And then she falls off of like a 4-foot platform and gets knocked out. So I don't know.
Yeah, they could have showed her like getting hit with a rock
funny.
or something. Yeah, just like.
Yeah, I just assumed her like head got knocked on that wall behind her.
Yeah, she smashed her.
But they could have totally done something like Ahsoka, where like, you know, Ahsoka like force pushes, what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. The Balin's apprentice, and she like Shin, you just like shoves her into the wall, like force pushes her when she.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah, something kind of like that would have been cooler.
Is it May that uses the stun on Soul?
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have sensed that. I don't know, man.
I think it was just he was so like with that
maybe in the
like
heat of battle.
Yeah, it's just like he just lost his Padawan, like all his friends are dead.
Probably.
Like there's like just like
a lot of
confusion. Yeah.
Probably.
One thing that we were talking about kind of the end of it, but I kind of want to jump back a little bit. How'd you guys feel about? I'm kind of conflicted about the Minox or whatever grabbing Chimere, because I think it gave him an escape to like get away, or like for them to survive or something like that. But I don't know if he's actually a Sith. I felt like he could have pulled those down, force lightning them, throw his lightsaber like he did in the beginning. Like that's another thing we didn't talk about was like I feel like we hardly get any like saber throws and live action stuff for the most part. There's a few like Vader throws it a couple times, and stuff like that. Like,
I love
chopping down those trees and stuff.
Yeah, I love when Soul regroups and then they come face to face again with Chimere, and it's just the trees are already slashed from the previous saber throw, but they fall in line in like a domino effect. Like, doot, 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 and he's still standing there smiling.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
And the constant, like, he was like trying to kill May as well during that fight. Like, no, stay here, and he like misses or something.
Well, I like that we kind of got that where like May's running away and he's like coward, and then it like cuts to him like real quick, and then it cuts away. Like I thought that was kind of cool. Like I like that.
But then why does May fight Jackie?
And that doesn't make sense to me. That's one thing.
Her.
I guess so, but like I don't know. Like she was gonna surrender, and then she ends up like
Jackie drop kicked her in the chest.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's like an ego thing. Like, oh,
if she changed her mind last second, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It was.
I don't know, man. You get dropped kicked in the chest, it's going down. I say, no matter what.
Like probably drop kick. When in doubt, drop kick. That's a thing in Star Wars.
When in doubt, drop kick. I need that on a shirt.
Obi-Wan drop kicks Jango Fett. That's my favorite drop kick.
True.
A lot of drop kicks happen, man. It's a thing.
Bit of a nitpick. The Jedi, when they first hit the helmet to tempt disabled them, why did they not use their force powers? I think it just happened so fast. Like they were like caught off guard.
Yeah, they don't. They've only read about stuff possibly in books if they even studied them to begin with.
Same with Chimera. He never uses the force wave against or after the previous episode. Yeah, I don't know. I that's what I'm saying is like I think Chimera could have used his force abilities like to like knock out those. He could have force pushed him up. He could have like literally reached up and then like pulled him down. You know,
the director needed to get away. They needed to separate Soul and Chimera from Osha and May so they can have their.
I think there could have been a better way to do it. I get it that's like they were alluding to that in the last episode with the lights, and they kind of that's why they transitioned to May and Osha and Yord so many times. It was
too obvious. I called that in the last watch party because I was like, are these bugs gonna be like the end?
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I'm just
saying that.
Maybe I'm a heartless bastard, but like I don't know, these droid like deaths, I just don't care. I didn't care about Ned B like sacrificing himself or whatever, and Obi-Wan. I didn't care about. She was like, "I love you, Pip," and like puts him like, I don't care, dude. Maybe it's just me. Like I don't know, but like I don't have any connection with these boys. You know, Percy's like, "You son of a bitch." He's like, "How dare you?"
Percy gets up and his chair turns into a droid.
I got that reference.
Agreed, Sarah.
I saw Chimera being the main villain from a mile away, which is disappointing to me because it became too predictable in my opinion. Yeah. I will say though, I did like the fact that like it was like he was like wearing a mask even when he wasn't wearing a mask. I do like that he kind of played like, oh, I'm just like an innocent person, or like you know, la da 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 da, like look at me, I'm silly. And then he's like, no, I'm gonna mess you up. You know, I do like that aspect of it, but yeah, it was predictable.
I think that's why. I think that's why I like that this series though so far is because it's not like your typical like kind of like mystery. Like we were going into it thinking, oh, is she going to be like twins or what's going on? And they give us the answer in the first episode, and now we're like halfway through. We already know who the mysterious Sith dude is. So I feel like there's a bit more to it than just this. I feel.
Well, episode 5, we just figured out who the Sith dude was. We got 3 more episodes, and one of them's a flashback.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I feel like they could have at least thrown some more characters that it could have been at it, because it was obvious to the point where it was almost like, oh, who else could it be? You know,
right?
Because he knew exactly where Kalnaka's place was. He was already slashed, and then when you see the dialogue between him and May, and he's like, "Wait, what? What? You changed your mind? You're gonna leave me? What? Who's the other guy that's on the planet?" He just
exactly, yeah.
It's like, come on.
He's also the only one who knows the master, and he's always telling May to like, oh, you know, like you gotta kill those Jedi. Remember, don't forget to kill those Jedi. Hey.
I will
he's
say,
good. I really like him. I liked the duality of his character, and he's really cool.
I think
he did an amazing job.
Yeah, his acting and the way that was driven to the audience really sold it for me. But besides the intro of just like, oh, who is it gonna be? You know.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of that. Like with Marok and stuff, it's like we don't gotta worry about the helmet people like that bad.
That's why I sigh when Inquisitors come on the screen, man.
JT just don't.
You can't tell me no. I will infinitely sigh.
No.
I will infinitely sigh when I see Inquisitors. You cannot change my
We're
mind.
supposed to be fools. Hello, sir. Oh.
I think that's a lot of us too, though. I feel like that's like the consensus I'm hearing from most of us is that Soul is, man, he's carrying the team when it comes to these characters.
I almost like Kamir just as much as Soul from this episode alone, though.
Yeah, true. Well, they're good. They're good when they're pitted against each other. I feel like it's they did a good job, like really picking two characters that are super interesting, and they're like, hey, let's make them go head to head. You know,
Yeah.
So
Batman and Joker.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we'll see, because obviously Soul's like, oh, something familiar. He's like, oh, is she? Obviously, Chimere's going to show up in that flashback. Something happens. Chimere's going to do something. And that's probably what sets off the fire or something like that, because they're alluding to like, even May was like, I didn't do any of that. Like, they brainwash you. What are you talking about? Like, I didn't burn down the whole thing. And it's kind of silly thinking that one lamp burned down the whole freaking mountain. Something else has got to go down.
I got a prediction. So I think that since May knows Osha is potentially going to go with the Jedi, Kamir is just going to show up and offer May a job. Be like, hey, I actually don't like them. You want to join me? You know? And then maybe it's kind of one goes to the light and one goes to the dark.
Well, didn't they say that in an interview that like the Jedi kind of like fumble the interaction and then the Sith lends the hand, being like, hey, the Jedi failed you, like join me and we'll make this right. We'll wipe out the Jedi and stuff like that.
We'll look in Revenge of the Sith. That's exactly what Palpatine did. They failed you.
Yeah. So that's actually a good thing. I'd like to go around and kind of hear if anybody has any predictions like about like what we're gonna get for the next 3 episodes. And any way.
You guys gave me a big brain blast.
Go for it, man.
I think if we get another like full episode flashback, it'll be the temple, but it'll be from Soul's point of view, and we'll see more of what happened like when he was spying on them and like when the shit's blowing up and he's like away from them and then he's like running back and saving them. And I think his point of view is the one we need to see. And if they do an episode fully around that actor, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah,
like
I'm here for it.
And other than that, I think he's gonna die to May, because May's on the ship, and what else is she gonna do? He can't
go back to the temple.
3 of the 4 are already dead.
Well, he knows that there's a Sith out there, so he can't live. He's like automatically terminated, because we know what happens in the prequel trilogy where they don't know, unless it's a cover up, unless like Kiadi-Mundi's like, nah, I never heard about any of that stuff. Then none of that's ringing a bell to me.
He's gonna pay Kiadi
hush
off.
money. Chimere's like, hey, bro, want to buy some death sticks?
I
buy some spice pops.
Don't tell the Jedi Council.
I do have to go soon, so I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on that question. So I'm pretty sure the director and writers for episode 7 are the same for episode 3. So I have a feeling episode 7 is going to be our flashback episode. And next week, our episode 6 is going to be like kind of like a pivot into that flashback.
Okay. Very cool, man.
As for what happens in it, I don't know, but I agree. I think it's going to be from the point of view of the Jedi going and breaking into the witches' coven and messing people up.
Man, I just want to see Kalnaka use his saber. I know he's going to use it.
All right. Have a
Mind tricks that don't work on me. Only money. All right, Nick. Appreciate you.
Later,
Bye. Yeah, he said he had to go earlier today, but yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, that's all that I had on the. I mean, it felt like a quick episode. Maybe it was because it was mostly fights and things like that. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add, or any other ideas of what you think might happen
cool
next.
If this guy became. Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say it'd be cool if Chimere became the new Venomous, and Tenebrous shows up at the end.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, because they don't. I think they refer to. He's still a Biff, I guess, in Plagueis, but they can.
Yeah,
change
Venomous
his
is also a Biff, but I wouldn't. They can make Kiadi-Mundi 100 years older, so they can probably
also.
You
don't even have to change Venomous, because they said
Poisonous.
that he was, or Venomous. they said that Plagueis' master had multiple, like Plagueis like questioning. He's like, how many apprentices did he have? Was that the only one? Is he gonna send more after me? Like this could be just an offshoot one. I think if anything, if they're gonna do something like that, Chimera is gonna be done though. Like they're gonna bring in like a bit like almost like a Thanos style character, you know, and just like Chimera is gonna be like, oh, I thought I was, you know. Like kind of like how Ventress is in the Tartakovsky. She's like, "Oh, I thought I was, you know, the shit," and then Dooku's like, "You're nothing."
Yeah.
You know.
And
So
yeah, and
like,
then in the 08 Clone Wars, you have Ventress and Savage, both of Dooku's apprentices in the room. Like,
yeah,
who's it gonna be?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're struggling to get him.
That reminds me of Qui-Gon's apprentice too. I forget his name, but he was kind of like edgy and
oh crap,
rebellious.
what is his name?
Xanatos.
Xanatos, yeah.
Xanatos.
He was that kind of like disobedient, edgy nature, but yeah, dude, we don't even hear about that in any live action or movies or anything like that. That's like EU, so there's no telling of like Disney says what it is. I mean, they say they have an apprentice, all right? So
I mean, it's tough, dude, because there's a part of me, you know, I love Plagueis. We're listening to it, you know, right now. There's a part of me that'd be like, oh man, that's really cool. Like, I want like, you know, Tenebris and Plagueis to show up and stuff like that. And then there's a part of me that I'm just like, I just don't know if I want them to touch that. Like, it's kind of perfect just the way it is in its own little universe with that book and stuff like that. So it's like hard because like I want to see it. I would love Tenebris to come in and just like be like, Chimera, you're nothing, and then just like force choke. You just see him like lift off his feet and force choke him or something like that, or have him join him. You know,
lightning.
That's the dichotomy or double-edged sword, I should say, of Star Wars is wanting to know more, but keeping the respect that the EU material already has. Being something like let's just use an example, which is a big one, is the explanation of the Force. Back in the day, you know, when the original trilogy came out, you just saw this frog lifting X-wing out of the water, right? There was mystery behind it because you didn't know what kind of mystical power it was. It was just described that it's kind of like this thing that maybe lives in the cells, kind of like surrounds us, behind us, stuff like that. Then you get a little bit more explanation in the Phantom Menace, but not enough to dive into like the answer of things. But then Clone Wars comes out, the Wills, okay, all right, so there is a set path in Destiny. You can choose your things along the way and alter it, but eventually those prophecies have to come true either way because the Wills determined it. You know.
Well, speaking of that too, with Yoda, I think
kind
that
of takes
is
the
interesting.
mysticism away from it, though. You know.
Chimera, when he like bends down I don't, because I know in our watch party I don't think he force heals her. I think she was just knocked out and he just kind of moves her over and they pan on that shot because like her like stab or like whatever scratch she had didn't heal or anything. I think he was just like kind of like
the lighting was just weird when I brought that up on the watch party. I think the lighting was just weird.
Well, I mean, we all
but
were
he
like,
did make the motions, so everyone was like, did he?
But he did use a Yoda quote. He was like, he said like, "Illuminous beings are we," or something like that. He had like a Yoda line in it. I'm blanking on what he said, but he said something kind of like how Yoda said it. And I feel like we're getting these little like prequel and like OT nods like they were doing when they were testing the kids. Like it was like, you know, like a ship, a speeder, a cup, you know, like, and how Anakin was tested. So we are getting these little kind of homages, but I said, I think that's all I got, guys. Like, unless you guys have anything else you want to add, we might wrap this bad boy up.
The only
grapes are not enough. The grapes are not enough to ruin the episode, but now it was slowly the grapes.
Where's the grapes? Oh, I was like, where are the grapes at?
I wish I knew where the grapes were. But no, it was slowly starting to lose me, but this episode got me back on track. I am interested to see what comes in the next episode. With only 3 more left, this one was a banger. So
yeah, Charlie,
I'm very. Me and him were talking about this earlier. I'm very interested to find out what is Saul hiding.
Yeah,
he was kind of hot. You know, I'll take me back on the ship. Stuff happens. Funny about you're wearing a mask, so are you, verbatim. They've alluded to stuff like that, and of course, it wouldn't be the first time stuff like this has happened. But I'm very interested on. One is a fascinating actor, amazingly cool character. You can tell again, just from watching someone fight, you can study this certain stuff as well, and you're just like, man, he really wants to rip this dude in half. You know, he has some stuff, stuff in there, but he's just like, no. And so you're like, what are you not? And it's not just like a move of stuff.
They're dangling it in front of us. They just throw in a couple lines, and they're like, what do you know? Like, tell me what you know.
I can't wait for that because I know there's more to his character and a whole lot more to go ahead. You got more than me.
Well, I know by me watching this series, the conversations that is going on in this series are very important. Very important. Even the conversation between May and Osha, Osha wants to be a Jedi. May's more about family, sticking together. You may call me a Sith. Stuff like that is so important.
Yeah, like dropping like little breadcrumbs.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's very important. And a lot of people is overlooking or maybe complaining about the conversation that these characters are having, but it's very important. It's very important.
I don't know, the comment that he said where now you all seen me, so I have to kill all of you. That's pretty cool either way you slice it. If you got a complaint with that, I don't know. Maybe don't watch the combat episode.
All these fun things to complain about. Unfortunately, lack of vision. Anyways,
it would be cool to see the show ends, a real Sith turns up and executes Chimere, like how Malgus kills his master in the cinematics.
Welcome home.
Well, dude, even dude, we have Plagueis, who in the books realizes that like Tenebris was like eyeballing some people, and he goes to this lady who's like literally sees the Clone Wars in the future. She talks about how like metal beings are gonna fight thousands of like faceless men or something like that, and literally liquefies her because he's like, you're not a part of my plan. Grabs her and zaps her like all casually, and he's like, oh, she just fell down.
It was a deadly handshake. You tying up loose ends with the handshake.
The deal is, she fell down.
Even JT, you were saying like when Maul kills one of those Jedi with his saber, and he's like, if you ever do that again, I will massacre you. I will destroy you because you're ruining my plan. Like we could have something like that.
It's in the Marvel comics with Palpatine reprimanding Maul because he's hunting down that Twi'lek Jedi too, and they end up working together. But then it's like finally time to come. We still got to keep ourselves hidden. Even up until the Phantom Menace, that still fits in line because they're still in hiding. You see that shot on Coruscant where Maul, flies in and he's talking to Palpatine. He's like, moving against the Jedi. I'm giving you the order, right? He's telling him now you can. The time is to reveal ourselves, and he even says it.
Yeah.
So the continuity is there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to lead to the flashback. Is Saul's going to explain his way. It's going to chunk us into the flashback. We're going to get it, and then like May's going to be like, I've heard enough, and like attack him or something like that, because obviously like everybody kind of seems to remember it differently. Like May remembers it one way, Osha remembers it one way, and Saul has it. So we're kind of getting like different points of view. But I wonder what we are going to see, because like I said, we got this episode, we got episode 7, and then we got 8. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of tie everything up and what we get from there.
Skeptical.
But
I hope it jumps into a whole new story arc here in the last 3, almost like.
Yeah.
Like we could get that flashback, but also like have like something big going on in the present too.
Well, they have to wrap up the flashback.
We haven't seen yet.
We have to get something with Chimere. He's not just going to vanish. Soul is still out there, and he knows about him. Chimere's not just going to let that slide, and that May, because she's kind of flip-flopping back and forth, Chimere's kind of going to handle May. And even to an extent, I guess, Osha too, because she knows about what's going on. So we need not only the resolve of what happened back in the day, but we need kind of like future. Well, because like the whole episode, it seems like he's like, you've seen my face. Like I got to kill everybody, and he doesn't kill everybody. So like I think we're kind of gonna get. I would imagine that's what it's gonna be, and then the Jedi, like it'll probably just end with everybody dying or something like that, and the Jedi just being like, Well, that was weird.
Ask,
let's move on.
I was just gonna ask, do you think we're gonna get exactly as many answers as we need in these 3 episodes, or do you think they're gonna set up for a season 2?
I don't know who said it, but they were saying that Leslie Headland said that she wrote it to and she could just be saying this just to say it, but she wrote it to finish in one season, but it does have the potential to move on to another season if everybody liked it enough. But I think she said the way that she wrote it encapsulated it could be done in the story could be told in one season. Now, again, I don't even know if they're going to touch on how the twins were made, which to me is the biggest thing in this freaking show, because they just kind of graze over that, and that needs to be explained quite a bit.
Well, the biggest thing for me is the PR advertising the show is that this is going to be. I was there in London. I saw it on stage. This is going to be in the perspective of the bad guys, right? It's going to make the Jedis look like the antagonists. We're so far 5 episodes deep. We just found out who the bad guy is. We already knew.
Yeah,
it wasn't a great reveal, but we just found that out. So how is this the perspective of the bad guy?
I think it's going to show us that in the flashback. I think that flashback, whether it's from Soul's perspective or Chimere's or May's, whoever the perspective is, I think that's going to really. I mean, that's at least my idea. Is that's what they'll show.
I don't know, dude. I want to see more bad guy stuff to kind of live up to that statement. Yeah,
for sure. That's true too. The Stanley's was we haven't seen the light whip either.
Yeah.
So,
can you imagine one of the final episodes? I get whether it be a final fight or something like that. It's killed all these people. You even killed, the Wookiee Jedi. What are you talking about? I didn't kill a Wookiee Jedi. What? You did that? No, I enjoyed killing all of you, but I didn't kill a Wookiee. And flashback. God, I can't remember Percy. You said something about some books. Read some. Where do you get those books from? Some guy called Higo Damask. Something and just cut back to that. Oh, thank you for the books. Oh, yeah.
I really do hope that they show in Ancient Sith Lord that the Sweaties know.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because right now, at least from what we know from EU stuff, right? It's Tenebris and then Plagueis would be really young, but it'd be Tenebris and Plagueis. That's kind of as far as we know right now.
Plagueis would be.
He's really young in this.
He'd still be an apprentice at this moment. So Tenebris would be around. Venomous is all. Thank you, Sarah. You awesome cow lover. You. Cal Kestis. Awesome person.
I was she likes cows. I didn't know that. Cal Kestis, not
use my accent against me. Damn you!
You damn dirty cow lover.
Bloody hell, you sodding wankers! But yes, you heard me. Anyways, I don't know. Yeah, Venus. Okay, no, it was.
You were saying.
You heard me. The Secret Apprentice. I have a dirty mind. You know this. Plagueis would be apprentice at this time period. Oh crap! You haven't heard it yet. I can't. Okay.
Can't spoil it.
No spoilers. Max, do you remember the audiobook that I sent you, the prequel to Plagueis?
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet, so I haven't.
Oh God, no.
I was gonna wait because we were doing the Plagueis reading because I wanted to.
There's a thing in here.
You want to just hold the thought.
There's something in there of that again I just don't worry about because that's got to happen. Yep, you tipped the cows over, monster.
Because of Obi-Wan. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's where we'll wrap it. We're at about an hour and 8 minutes, so I think this is one of the shortest ones we've done.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea of another person having killed the Wookiee. I would like
cool.
that. I don't know why, but I just think that would be a cool twist.
I don't know if it justifies not seeing Kalmaka fight though.
No.
Yeah, no, it would have.
He should have been the main character of the fucking show. That's what I'll
agree. Now that I agree, brother.
Yeah, and with that, thank you guys for watching. Go follow all these awesome people down below. We got all their links, all their YouTubes, and all that stuff. That's where we're gonna end it. You guys have a great night, and as always, May the force be with you.
Peace out.